Alright, welcome to video, what are we at? Video number 10 on this adapting the Mustang drivetrain to the 74 Capri 2005 Mustang. So here I'm taking the valve covers off because in the middle of the night I went, hey, where is that little clip that holds the what do I want to call it? The spark plug wires. I was like, I don't remember putting that back on. And so I looked around in the morning and I couldn't find it. I went, oh man, I wonder if it fell in under the valve cover when I put the valve cover on yesterday. And sure enough, it had. Opened it up, got that little clip out, and disaster averted there. But now we are mounting the pedestal for the roll bar tube bender. To drill a few holes in the garage floor. Not the end of the world. These bolts will come back out, and we'll just use some epoxy to close it up. But we're mounting this where the Jeep is usually parked, and we have to do a big shout out to Rick Barnes for loaning us space in his aircraft hangar for the World War II Jeep. That gave us space to work. We still have a car parked on the lift. A project parked on the lift, so we got to kind of work with a low ceiling here, but the lift is very handy for keeping everything, for giving us more space. Now let's see, I am working on the transmission to rear drive shaft, the pinion angle, getting all those angles right. So we just put weight in it so that it would sit hopefully at about the same height it would with a driver, the roll cage, and fuel in the thing. And then we can measure the angles. Where does that rear drive shaft pinion angle sit at? And I also am able to measure the drive shaft itself, the length, and how much we've got to shorten the Mustang drive shaft. Or that was what we thought we were going to do. We took it to the drive shaft shop, and they said, these are non-serviceable U-joints. I can't recenter anything. I can't reuse this drive shaft. I'm going to have to build you another one. So they did build us a drive shaft, and we'll talk more about that later at future videos. But right now we're welding in those the main roll cage hoop mounts, and these are important. They're on that kind of a main cross member in the unibody of the Capri. It's behind the driver and passenger seat, kind of where where your knees would be if you're sitting in the rear seat. But that cross member is an excellent spot to put the main hoop for the roll cage. And Keaton's getting the base plates all tack welded in now. And then I'm working on this transmission mount. We're reusing the transmission mount out of the Mustang, but because of how everything lines up with the Capri body, I've got to stand off those mounts by about 3 to 4 inches, depending on which, the contour of the bottom of the car. It ends up being really close to where the original Capri Mustang, where the Capri transmission mounts were. So that works out well, but we needed to build a reinforcing plate. I just welded a thick reinforcing plate onto the floor of the Capri right up against the tunnel, and that worked very well for holding the transmission mount snug up against the floor. But right now you just see me working with threaded rod to get the lengths right, double check angles. Then I can get measurements. Oh, our dog Moose came to visit me there. And now Landon's back to help bend the roll cage, the main hoop for the roll cage. And this is kind of the first 2 bendings we're doing. We did some practice bends, but this is the first real one that we're doing. And and it went really well. I had to hand it to Keaton. He read up on everything he needed to do. He knew what to double check, and this main hoop turned out great. We've got the door open for part of it. This is late July, and it's over 100 degrees. It was over 100 degrees most of the work we were doing for these videos, like videos 7 through, I don't know, whatever we end up at. I'm at 10 right now, but I'm probably have several more. Now, you can see the progress of mending that main hoop, and then we get to lower the car down. The camera was sitting on the car on the quick jacks, and then we got to try it out. And then I'm doing more measurements on this on the transmission mount so that I can build these standoffs. And I'm just using I'm cutting some of the roll cage tubing from the practice bends, and I'm just going to use that to build 4 standoffs, and so I'm just welding these up. We've gotten a bottle of the better gas for the Lincoln welder, the Lincoln MIG. It turned out that we were trying to run it on straight argon, and it didn't like that. We needed a 20% CO2, 80% argon mix, and then that little Lincoln MIG worked much better. Let's see. Landon is trimming the roll cage. Keaton is building the forward, what do I call it? The mainstay mount for the roll cage that, it goes up by the driver's feet, basically, even with the dashboard. He's building those mounts, and I'm working on transmission standoffs or transmission reinforcing plate for the floor, depending on what I'm grinding on at the moment. So that's what the three of us are doing. We're making lots of sparks. It's a good, it's a safety glasses zone for sure. But happily, nobody got hurt on this entire project. Now, I'm going through video after the fact, and not to give anything away other than nobody got hurt, which is good. But we appreciated Landon's help here over several days. He came over and helped, and we just got knocked out a lot of work with the three of us. Again, transmission mounts, working on that, and main hoop trimming for the roll cage, and the landing or the reinforcing plates for the mainstays that will go, kind of over the doors, that section of the roll cage. Let's see. You see a little bit of Keaton and I bending metal. The plate that's used for those, for the roll cage to mount on is pretty thick stuff. Trying to remember what the gauge is, and then Keaton starts welding, and we get a lot of smoke. So that was we opened up the garage door, even though it's 100 degrees out. The nice thing about, even though the shop is small, it's well insulated, and we're able to run an air conditioner and keep the temperature comfortable if we don't have to open the doors. All right, I'm back on these spring perches. Let's see. The Capri, maybe I've said this already, but the Mustang shocks were the same length as the Capri shocks. They mounted in the wrong places. So you see me changing the location, cutting off the Mustang rear axle shock mounting points, grinding them down to fit the new location they've got to be in, and then I'll be welding those in place. So that we can reuse the Mustang shocks. It's really nice that Ford didn't change them. They're the same length as the Capri shock. We just had to change the mounting point. I think Keaton is continuing to work on those reinforcing plates for the roll cage, and the spring perch here. Yeah, that's what Keaton's welding in. I tacked in the spring perch. We're going to wrap up this video with Keaton getting these forward mounting points. Oh, actually, with him tack welding in the main hoop. So we had some final fitting. Actually, I'm not sure if this was fitting as much as it was cleaning up the ends of the roll cage so that it would weld, getting all the scale off the bars so that it would weld cleanly. We don't want any imperfections in these welds. The roll cage welds all have to be 100%. So we're being careful there and making sure everything's clean. Keaton's going to get this welded in, and that'll wrap up this installment. Hit like if you've enjoyed it, and we will get the next video going here. I hope to publish a few over the next few days here, get us caught up. But thanks for watching, and we have enjoyed the project greatly, and there's lots more to come. Thanks.